This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
So that was a clip of Greta Thunberg making an impassioned plea at the United Nations General Assembly very, very recently. I'm sure you've seen that kind of clips moving along your social media timeline. And it begs the question whether or not climate change and, of course, building sustainability into businesses is actually core right now, because that is the kind of conversations that are currently dominating not just at the United Nations but everywhere across the globe. So joining me is the head of sustainability of Digi Telecommunications, Ling, here to discuss on how businesses can not just build about sustainability businesses but think about climate change as a whole. Philip, well, the haze is now gone. Yes. With no surety that it will not come back, and not just not come back for next year, but not come back until next week. Perhaps we might have the haze next week yet again. This is a story that keeps on coming again, whether or not we have to build businesses that are sustainable and that are friendly towards nature, and we need to talk about how Digi Telecommunications is doing it right now. So how is Digi doing sustainability currently?
Well, I think at Digi, one of the things we realize that when you talk about sustainability, it's not just about climate change. It's about the way you operate your business. And you have to be a growth mindset. It's part of growth. It's part of trust. It's part of your customers. It's part of your suppliers. So it's a whole holistic system. So companies that don't understand sustainability holistically has only to lose.
Okay, we'll talk more about sustainability and baking it into the business models. But when you talk about GLCs and MNCs, big companies, market cap like $1 billion and above, it is easy for them to build an office like yourself, the Office of Sustainability, put somebody there and a few teams there, try to work out a sustainability program for that particular company. But numbers change. Between 60 to 90% of Malaysian businesses are populated by the SMEs.
Yes.
The small and medium-sized enterprises, and they chase bottom lines and they chase cash flow. They have to manage their business not just year to year, but day to day. How do you see SMEs balancing the need to make money with that of having a sustainability agenda?
I see it as the same agenda in the sense that when we talk about business cash flows, they are looking at risk. How do you, in the changing economy today, risk can come in form of suppliers. You've got global suppliers. There's technological disruptions to your company, right? How do you look at those disruptions, And all this goes back to how you manage your cash flow. Because both your risk and your trust of your customers determines whether your business is growing or your business will slowly go down, right? So if they are able to see this connection, then it only makes sense for them as a SME to gather the 90% as a groundswell to push the whole industry upwards.
Why would Digi try to push forward a sustainability agenda to SMEs?
Because same thing, our suppliers, our customers are SMEs, right? So in a huge economy, a new economy, there's a lot of things to look at. There's privacy issues, there's integrity issues, which is trust issues. If you don't have trust with your customers, if you don't have trust in the space where you operate, then there's no way for a company to grow. Then again, you're looking at the other side, the upstream, What are the risks that you're looking at? Regulatory changes, ethical practices, even today we're talking about modern day slavery. All this affects your future talents and your future opportunities to thrive, And SMEs will have that same amount of risk and the same amount of opportunities. It's a matter of how much they look at that.
Okay, let's deep dive now. I want to look at some case studies that you are familiar with. Can you share with us one or two stories on how SMEs have actually done well in terms of baking in the sustainability program into their business model?
Okay, so one case in point is talent example, right? So everyone's fighting for talent, right? In the new age, young people today, the millennials, it's already proven they are not just looking for a job. They are looking for a company that they can be proud of. They're looking for a company that is responsible, either you say to the environment, responsible to your community, to your customers, And young people will stay far away from a company that they believe does not is not operating responsibly, right? So same thing, if you're SME, you're going to a digital age, you need these young talents. You need to attract these young talents who must believe in the company, right? So some of the SMEs has realized that why are all the young people going to the startups? Why are they moving to that sense, right? So again, if you do not adopt sustainability as a business growth model, you will lose out.
Yeah, but like specific companies, not just for Digi, but specific SMEs, do you know any that have done this?
Yes, some of them has. So in their own different ways, example, we've known of some companies who are in the food industries, small SMEs, right? They realize that energy cost is going up, right? They realize that getting people working for them is difficult, right? So, but when they start building in cost controls, when they start looking at energy growth, which is carbon footprint, right? Then it reduces their carbon footprint and reduces the way the company operates in terms of expenditure. Then when they look at influencing suppliers and influencing customers. Customers are growing, the demands are changing, expectations are changing. There are customers who are willing to pay a bit more for a product that's more responsible, that's more sustainable.
Are you sure? Because customers still change for or hunt for bargains, right?
They still hunt for bargains, but you look at the millennials, it's slightly different what they're looking for, right? It's the same success of Body Shop, right? They are not selling just a product, they're selling a promise. No testing on animals, right? And more companies today realize that this is what young people are looking for. This is what your future consumers are looking for, right? So even today for Digi, our customers are downloading music, Spotify and all those because they don't want to buy a plastic CD in a plastic cover in a plastic bag.
Yeah,
right?
but nobody does that anyway.
Exactly. So it's dematerializing and making the carbon economy, reducing it, decarbonizing the economy, right? And being more aware of this will actually push the demand for the market in the future.
We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more with the head of sustainability of Digi. Thanks very much for staying on with us. You're watching Notepad. I'm your host, Ibrahim Sani. Today, joining me is Philip Ling, the Head of Sustainability of Digi Telecommunications. Philip, the three big telcos in the country are focused or trying to push forward a more or greater sustainability agenda. What would be some of the highlights that Digi is currently doing for sustainability from the point of view of Digi?
There are a few things that we're doing. Again, we look at stakeholders, right? Stakeholders, you're talking about investors, you're talking about suppliers, talking about customers, right? If I go down customers, what customers today understand is that when I'm taking up a digital device, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of personal data, there's a lot of things I transact online, right? One concern is privacy. How much importance does the supplier or the company put on privacy? No? And how do they manage privacy internally, right? So everyone knows that customer data is currency in the future. So that is one part that Digi looks at. We put privacy by design. You know, when we design a lot of our products and services, we ensure that privacy is actually a foundational aspect of it, right? And then you are transparent to customers. Now, gone are the days when you can put asterisks and all those and try to get your customers not to understand what's happening. Nowadays, you have the obligation to be proactive, to tell customers what are the data we're collecting and how are they being used for. So these are some of the things in the digital age that's very important in the areas of sustainability.
When, you know, being a trained accountant, I normally peruse through the annual reports of companies, and it becomes like a trend now that the sustainability report is getting thicker and thicker to a point where it is almost as thick as the financial statement. I won't name that particular company, but it becomes to a point of ridiculous, because if a company is there to make money, then the financial report should be as thick as it can get. I mean, this is not an environmental company, yet the sustainability report is actually quite thick. Who reads these reports? Would people actually go through them? Because I don't.
Yeah, which is why that reporting, sustainability reporting has to be according to what is material to a company, and also what is material to your stakeholders. You know? So some stakeholders are interested in your company or want to support your company in a certain area, and which is why that transparency and accountability is so important. rather than, like you said, to put up a whole report that's full of things. There's various ways of communicating, and people are looking for consistency, right? So I can't just write once a year.
It's consistently thick. That's what it is.
Yeah, but topics should be consistent throughout the year. If you're doing something in the areas of sustainability, you don't talk about it just one time a year. You show milestones, you show progress, right? And I think that's what people appreciate more in this generation.
Look, let's put it this way, right? So you were talking about trust and
Yes.
and accountability. The haze is a sickening process that we all have to go through and endure every year. Very recently, The Edge has done their $1 billion club BRC, billion ringgit club awards.
Yes.
Yeah, and for their corporate responsibility initiative, IOI Corporation won the best corporate to carry out CR initiatives. And IOI is one of the companies that are currently in the spotlight in Indonesia for causing the haze. And of course, there's no formal indictment or I guess criminal action that was taken against IOI at present in Indonesia, as well as in Malaysia and Singapore. But you know, from the point of view of the pedestrian, the person that is on the street, they know that the haze is caused by forest fires. Some of them know it's because of the plantation, and some of them, very small, you know, segment of them know that okay, it's these companies, right? So don't you think that it's a bit odd that a company like IOI wins a CR initiative award, and on the other hand, breathing in an API that is 200 and above? How do you bridge that? Because there's a point to this question, right? How do you bridge that trust that you want to get from your customers, and saying to your customers, this is not BS, this is real work that we're doing. We're trying to gain your trust. How do you make sure that happens? Because customers can just say, you know what, not just customers, consumers in general, they can just say, this is just, you know, PR work. They're not doing real stuff in sustainability.
Which is where it's important that a lot of companies, they have whistleblowing integrity hotlines, you know. And then the question becomes, how independent are these lines? You know, as if I'm a consumer and I realize that there's something in this company that I don't agree with, do you push me to your customer service line? Or is there another line that's independent, right? So trust is something that must be earned, we know that. It must be built across time. So looking at, regardless of which companies you're in, which industries, there are risks and there are areas that you need to come forth as something that we can't do on our own. Which is why sustainability in the SDGs, the 17th one is partnerships, right? There's a lot of things that you can't do on your own.
Memorize all the SDGs.
Well, I have to, it's my job, right? Right? So that partnerships help you to have different approaches to a single issue. And I guess to see that moving forward is what consumers are looking for.
Well, you know, your sector might be a little bit easier when we talk about sustainability. I mean, telcos and for that matter, the tech sector, you know, it's not really that dramatic as opposed to say plantation, oil and gas, you know, where people are really having a negative view towards how sustainability is being done in these kind of sectors. So because of that, don't you see that, or would you see that your job is not really up the hill in that sense?
Well, I beg to differ. Example, for online, there's a lot of issues with online today, from cyber grooming to cyberbullying to depression, suicide, and so much things. That's parcel of the service that we render, right? So as a responsible company, how do we look at areas where when I give your device to a young person's hand, how do I make sure that you're safe? What have I done to ensure that you are protected and safeguarded in a certain way? So and this is, again, our service spans global. You know? My service, internet, gives accessibility to young people today to go anywhere in the world, right? So those are also areas where you have to look at in terms of sustainability.
When we talk about this, I mean, I have a 12-year-old, she has an iPhone. I told her, now the world has access to you.
Yes.
It's not just you having access to the world. Now, you know, whatever, some creep can just reach out to her, and it's just like that. Therefore, I keep on telling her the responsibility for you to be safe is yours and myself as a guardian. I don't see how the telco is part of this whole guardianship or trustee of trust. But having this conversation comes into, you know, I guess it's
and that's where we are. So we've partnered with MOE for a number of years. We've trained around 8,000 schools, And our partners are like Childline, UNICEF, global organizations, protect and save the children. You see, so these are people with resources, both preventive and intervention.
Yeah.
But they cannot reach the masses because they're NGOs.
Yeah.
We have to reach to the masses. We have to reach into the communities who are online or with us. So by partnering together, we bring all these preventive actions and we brief all this awareness and education and even which hotlines you can call.
Yeah.
So recently we make free calls for a Childline to befriend us. It's all free calls nowadays. So any child who is in need now actually has a call, a direct line to a support system, and that's where it comes in.
It also means that you guys are doing a lot more than what we understand you to do,
Yes.
which is to provide good service, right?
Exactly. Which is why sustainability is building trust. Because at the end of the day, if I'm providing internet services and my customers cannot trust the internet, then probably we have failed in certain ways.
We will go for a short break. When we come back, we'll conclude our conversation with Ling of Digi. Thanks for staying on with us. You're watching Notepad. I'm your host, Ibrahim Sani. We are talking about sustainability and teenage daughters, apparently.
Yep.
He is the head of sustainability of Digi Telecommunications. Philip, we have to draw this conversation to a quick close soon. I want to do a little bit of a public service announcement here, a little bit of a PSA. How would people reach out? You were mentioning about all these hotlines and,
Yep.
and how to reach out and how your work with MOE is trying to help young viewers to stay safe. What would be some of the channels and avenues that people can reach out to make sure that they continue to be not just safe but also be sustainable in moving forward?
I think for online space, there's a lot of places where you can get awareness, right? And understanding not just 5 tips or click big tips to be safe, but also finding out what are the organizations that are actively doing it. Sometimes you have to see a more holistic picture. There's a lot of scenario building cases online. So example, when we talk about bullying, when you talk about cyber grooming, find out the modus operandi. How do they, just like scams, there are sites today that tell you how a parcel scam works. What happens when a custom officer or police officer call up. So by having this awareness, you are more ready when those things happens to you.
Right. Let's circle back to our earlier conversation on how SMEs and businesses of any size, for that matter, try to see how they can build in a sustainable business model into their general business model. Do you think that it's more profitable for them to actually be more concerned about sustainability when they want to build their business, or do you think that this is still a by the way kind of thing?
I think SMEs have to see this as an opportunity. Most businesses, large businesses, they are looking for suppliers or partners that fits the sustainability agenda, that believes in the same core ethical businesses. So when you see that as an opportunity and you align yourself with them, most big companies provide free trainings on sustainability, right? But if you jump on those opportunities...
Would Digi be one of them?
Yes, we do. To all our supply chain, we do 2,000 hours of training every year for our suppliers. And you pick up on the best practices, you adopt them, which is good for your business, and it gives you a lot of opportunities with all these big companies.
So, again, this is something new, Philip. While I think about many things, I'm not thinking about how vendors of larger companies can actually align their interest with them. Do you think that, in selecting your suppliers, maybe there's 3 suppliers, 2 or 1 of them is actually aligning yourself with sustainability programs? That is a higher chance of you partnering with that particular supplier.
And they can leverage on the tools that we have. Example, for suppliers who climb our towers, we almost have a monitoring system, a mobile app that sometimes we are looking for real-time monitoring in the future. So as a small company, I want to know whether my employees are safe when they climb a Digi tower. Through this app, through this service, you can actually monitor. That reduces the health and safety concerns in your company because you're leveraging on something that's bigger, right? So leveraging all this is possible. It's just that you have to work smartly in this new digital economy.
All right. That's it. That's my conversation with Ling of Digi Telecommunications. If you've missed any part of this interview, just head on to astroawani.com. Look for Notepad there. There are plenty of interviews like this. You can also watch this interview on your mobile devices. Just download the Astro AWANI app wherever you get the application. Until then, thanks very much for watching and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
you.